High school football region play has begun. Hello again, everybody. Under the Lights, the podcast. I'm Kyle Parmley, joined by Gary Lloyd today. Gary, everybody around here has got one region game in the books now, so you're either 1-0 and feeling great or 0-1 and feeling terrible. So, what'd you think about what you saw last week?
Yeah, just the importance. I think we kind of touched on it a little bit last week about how maybe razor thin some of these regions, especially 7A Region 3, maybe feel early in the year. I mean, maybe some of these teams will separate, maybe they won't. But those 4 teams that start 0-1 in region play are probably feeling a little bit of that razor thin margin about right now because those schedules don't get any easier.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Unfortunately, fortunately, depends on your perspective, I guess. Um, on here last week and on Friday, I kind of predicted that there would be some craziness going in Class 7A Region 3 in the form of some close calls, upsets, what have you. And then Hoover and Thompson and Hewitt Trussville decided to go out there and and just kind of say, hey, we haven't gone anywhere yet. All three of them looked like they're going to be as strong as they always are. So let's talk about a few of those games. Let's start with the city rivalry of Hoover. This was at Spain Park this year. I was out there for it. Hoover takes down Spain Park 28-20. Hoover really capitalizes on some special teams, big plays. J.J. Moultrie blocked an extra point. He blocked a field goal attempt. Caleb Cook for Hoover blocked a Spain Park punt. Special teams were a huge part of this game for Hoover because this game was back and forth. I mean, there was a lot of action, even though it wasn't necessarily the high scoring affair that you might expect to see sometimes. But this is a really good game, and I was really impressed with Hoover being able to come out on top and get their first win of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of kick ourselves for predicting the chaos a little bit. And, we said Spain Park, yes, has a chance, or I did. I thought they might have won the game. I know they had some guys go out and that kind of thing, but we did say you might be in for a classic. And it seems like, I mean, for what a region opening game could be, you got a game just about as close as you could get. So, yeah, big catalyst for Hoover moving forward, getting on the board with that first win. Tough loss for Spain Park because that schedule certainly doesn't get easier this week. Uh, so big game for a lot of guys, and we'll see how both of these teams move going forward.
Yeah, and you mentioned the injuries. Spain Park, I think the number was 6 running backs that the Jags used at some point in the game because their first couple got banged up, and then they were running some defensive guys in there, and they didn't want to run them into the ground necessarily because they were playing so well on defense as well. So really tough when sophomore quarterback Brock Bradley is going up against an already really good Hoover defense and one that knows you're probably throwing most downs. That's really tough. And the Jags really kind of struggled to move the ball in the second half. But look, like I said last week, this felt like a game that when you looked up at the scoreboard at the end of the third quarter, I felt like there was probably going to be a game, and it was. Spain Park scored early in the fourth, and then the extra point got blocked that would have tied the game, and then the fourth quarter kind of played out. But it was kind of I don't know. It struck me after the game hearing Hoover coach Wade Waldrop talk to his team because the Bucks are 1-2 now. It was nice for them to get on the board with a win, but at the same time, there was a whole lot of like, guys, we won, but we didn't play well, and we've got so much room to improve. And usually, I feel like when you hear coaches talk like that, that usually means that there is a lot coming for a team down the road as they keep improving.
Yeah, and I think me and you were talking earlier, and I see this one like with the injuries you talked about for Spain Park, maybe a game not too dissimilar from what we saw last year with Thompson at Vestavia, where that game was a 1 point game or something at the half. Vestavia quarterback John Paul Head went out with an injury, didn't play the second half, and Thompson kind of, took control, and Vestavia couldn't do much. And then when he was back for the rest of the season, you saw what Vestavia did. They were one of the best teams in the state in October and heading into the playoffs. So, you look to see what happens when Spain Park is fully healthy, and like you said, for Hoover, you look to see what building blocks they can keep adding as they head into this week into a big rivalry game.
Yeah, no doubt. Another game, Gary, you were at Hewitt Trustful 42, Oak Mountain 7. The Huskies go to 2-1 on the year, but this is the first time in the first three games of the season that the Huskies seem to look like kind of what we expected them to look like.
Yeah, it didn't take long. They go, they go right down the field. I think the first drive they go 8 plays, 80 yards. 5 of those plays are for 10 plus yards, and it took like a minute and 45 seconds. I mean, maybe the most efficient 2 minute drill to open a game I've ever seen in my life. Oak Mountain was just overmatched. They're a young team, but you could see. I mean, you can say it's a 42-7 game, and it was a blowout. They were overmatched, but there was a lot of talent out there for Oak Mountain, and you can see a lot of fight in those guys. You can see a lot of belief in young guys. I forget the kid's name now, but tweeted me like Saturday morning and said something to the effect, I don't have it pulled up right now, but said something to the effect of, next time you see us, you will see a much improved team. And like, this is coming from like a kid who's like class of 2026 or something completely offending like that. So Oak Mountain, I think the culture is shifting already under Shane McComb. They were certainly disappointed, obviously. But like for Hewitt Trustful, I mean, talking to Coach Floyd after the game, he's like, I really think the defense kind of set the tone, and then kind of caught himself, and he was like, well, but the offense kind of set the tone too. And I was like, you're kind of saying you put together the best game that you have so far. I mean, it's only game three, but they did it in all phases. You score 42 points, incredibly efficient, 500 some odd yards of offense. Will Phillips, a sophomore, I think sophomore defensive back, gets 2 interceptions. Defense holds him to 7 points. Just an all around, just complete game from Hewitt Trustful, and maybe a little bit more of what we expected out of them from the outset. But it's early in the season, and guys have to get used to each other and get back in the swing of things. And they really put it together Friday at Herdmont Park.
Yeah, good building block for the Huskies. So we'll see where they go from there. One of the games that I really thought had upset potential, but just didn't pan out this way. Thompson smothers Vestavia Hills and wins 21-3. Now the game was 7-3 for quite a while and up until the fourth quarter, but Vestavia just that explosive offense just could not get untracked on Friday night. They hit a couple of big plays, but couldn't sustain anything. There were several turnovers on both sides. Just kind of a slugfest, ugly type of ball game, and Thompson just they kind of weathered the storm and pulled away in the fourth.
Yeah, I mean, I could see this game being 21-3 after the first quarter. We both kind of thought this had the makings of maybe a little bit of a shootout, but maybe a little bit of an ugly game. I know Trent Seaborn, the quarterback for Thompson, was picked off, I think, 3 times. So, credit to that Vestavia defense, too. It's a young defense, and holding them to 21 in their building, getting some takeaways. But, it was kind of bend but don't break. I think Thompson had 310 or so total yards. But you hold them to 21 points in their building. But that Thompson defense was a story, just really absolutely shut down that Vestavia offense. So, it'll be interesting to see how that Vestavia offense bounces back, because they haven't been shut down like that in a little while. So we'll see how they bounce back this week. I would imagine in a big way.
Yeah, so we'll see. Stepping away from Region 3 for a little bit, let's talk about Briarwood 28, Chilton County 10. The Lions, after 2 rough games to start the year, they get a good region win. I'm interested to see how this evolves, because the first couple games, Josh Thompson and Will Clark have kind of, gone in and out at quarterback, but it seems like the Lions have started to figure some things out with when Will Clark comes in, it's a heavy run game, and Josh Thompson's able to hit some of those passing plays that they need. And Briarwood's defense looks good too. So I bet that does a lot for them, as much on the field wise as it does for the mindset of that team.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet that Josh Thompson is kind of your guy moving forward if you want to name a QB1, so to speak. But they prove that when they get in their classification. I mean, they played Clay Chalkville week 1, but let's be honest, same classification, but Clay Chalkville is a little bit of a different animal. And then you play Spain Park in week 2. You start region play against some comparable teams to your roster, your depth, and that kind of thing. And it looks like they pretty much dominated the game, and Will Clark ran the ball really well. So I think you're going to see him, back there in the shotgun with some running. Maybe he drops back kind of plays, but this looked like a very typical historical Briarwood kind of win. Really good defense, serviceable offense, didn't shoot themselves in the foot. They got good offensive line play, which they really didn't the first 2 weeks. So I know Coach Forster is proud of those guys up front. So just a really good kickstart to region play for them as they go into hosting probably one of the better teams in the region in Pelham.
Yeah, no doubt about that. One of the cool stories that we talked about here the first few weeks, John Carroll gets to 3-0 with a 45-28 win over Fairfield. And you know what was different about this game is I've seen several John Carroll games over the years, and one thing that has always happened is they get worn down in the second half and struggle to either hang on or keep up or whatever. It was the complete opposite last Thursday. Even though this team battled sickness throughout the week, they were playing on Thursday a day earlier than normal. They still got tons of guys playing on both sides of the ball. They wore Fairfield down in the second half with a powerful run game. They were the more physical team. It was really cool to see John Carroll win a football game that way, where they asserted their will from the second quarter on.
Yeah, so far, this looks like a different mindset kind of John Carroll team. And I know we talked about that in the second podcast of the year with Coach Mara and quarterback Carson McFadden. But it's weird. Like we cover, what do we cover, Kyle? A dozen teams, something like that.
Yeah,
And John Carroll's our only 5A team. And through 3 weeks, I think they're the story for our coverage footprint so far.
sure.
So
Yeah.
really cool to see that. And, another big one this week going to Hayden, which has traditionally been, a really tough game. And Hayden seems to be down a little bit this year. So can they get to 4-0? We'll watch and see.
Another one, Mount Brook, 28-0 win over Minor. This was very impressive for the Spartans. They just kind of methodically put together. They just controlled the game, held Minor to 160 some odd yards. Cole Gamble scores twice on the ground. John Cooper throws a couple touchdowns. Really good for the Spartans. And as each week goes on, I know I'm going to recall back to this interview with Chris Yeager, their head coach, after the first game of the year against Vestavia, and he had a little smirk on his face and just was like, yeah, we didn't play good tonight, but people are going to forget about us, and we're just going to get better and better and better. And you're already starting to see that, especially the last 2 weeks with some pretty nice wins for them.
He probably wants you to try to forget about that a little bit, like Kyle, keep us on the down low, But yeah, just a complete win. I mean, a shutout. We've talked about Mountain Brook the last couple of years with all these shutouts, and they get one here, and force a lot of punts, block a couple of kicks, and Cole Gamble did what Cole Gamble does. Maybe got to clean up a little bit. John Cooper, as he keeps gaining experience, limit the turnovers a little bit. But Mountain Brook looks solid.
I agree. All right, a few more scores for you. Tuscaloosa County beats Chelsea 42-21. Helena gets by Homewood 31-17. Homewood unable to sustain their hot start to that game. Helena's really good. And then Clay Chalkville rolls past Pell City 46-7. So that does it for the third week of high school football. Another big one coming up this week, week 4. Gary, let's start with the game that you are going to be at, a Region 3 showdown, longtime rivals, just everything you want from a big game. Hoover paying a visit to Vestavia Hills. I think this is going to be, it should be the best game of the weekend as far as I'm concerned. I think you've got a good one.
why are you sending me to this? Did, like, what did I do something good? What's the
You
deal? I'm
hey, you met your deadline, so you got rewarded.
Hey, look at that. First time for everything. No, just I mean, this game, everybody knows about this game. It's obviously huge for region. It's obviously huge for bragging rights. You know, it's that quintessential high school football Friday night. If you're Vestavia Hills at home, 0-1 in the region, and you've got Hoover, I mean, it's too early to say anything about must win, so I'm not going to call it that. But if you go down 0-2 in the region, it's not insurmountable, but that's a tough start. I mean, it'd be Thompson and Hoover, but that'd be a tough start. So I'm very curious. I feel this way. I don't know what game I want to compare it to, but it feels like one of those that I could see going either way. You know, Hoover's coming in riding a little high after a road win. Vestavia a little down after playing at Thompson, but I kind of expect Vestavia to bounce back and play really well in this game. Um, will it be enough? I don't know, but I'm just looking forward to being out there and likely parking about a mile away from the stadium and getting all my steps in before the game and getting the rest of my steps in on the way back to the truck. So just excited to be at that one and really see that atmosphere and how it unfolds.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to hear how that one goes. I'm going to go to Briarwood, where the Lions take on Pelham. This can be a pretty tough test. Pelham has really shown their first two games of the year that they look, like they're going to be a real challenger in this region. So, can the Lions kind of, they hit that reset button last week, put together a really solid game. And so now we just get to see if the lessons are continuing to be solidified, if the experience gained by this young group is going to continue to I mean to make waves. I mean, this team has got to win some of these games if they want to get back to the playoffs after missing them last year. So I'm excited to be back out there. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Big game. I love being at a place like Briarwood for a big game. It's just a lot of fun being in that atmosphere, and I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see a relatively physical game. It feels like a trenches running the ball. You know, I think I would look at a guy like Cooper Higgins from Briarwood in a game like this in a physical game. I know he loves that contact, and if you're that Briarwood defense, just building on last week and really slowing down Pelham quarterback Clayton Maines. He's a really good quarterback, experienced guy, dual threat kind of guy. So I know they'll be keyed in on him, but I think you're going to see a tough physical football game Friday.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's talk about a few other 7A Region 3 games. Spain Park is hosting Thompson. At full strength, I'd give the Jags a fighting chance in this one. However, I'm not sure how healthy they're going to be, especially, we talked about the running back injuries they had against Hoover. But this Spain Park team is one that, like, that atmosphere at Jaguar Stadium last weekend was so different than what it's been the last few years. There's a lot of juice in the stadium, a lot of people excited to be there. Uh, this is a this is a program that is not gonna they're not gonna roll over against a team like Thompson. Like they're gonna make that trip that Thompson makes up there. They're gonna make it a challenge. So I this game might be like a 35 nothing type of game that you don't feel good about. But I could also see that Spain Park hangs around similar to last week and really makes you sweat it out the whole way.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot about that health, of the running backs. You know, that's such a key part of that Spain Park offense. I mean, I think we maybe talked after week two when they started 2-0 about how well balanced they were. Like they've got a lot of playmakers at running back. They've got a lot of playmakers on the outside, but for that balance to be effective, you need them both working simultaneously. You know, so I think the health of those guys is important, obviously, and maybe they'll be hanging around fourth quarter, and that defense is really solid, opportunistic, and you saw last week that freshman quarterback Trent Seaborn at Thompson, he is human. He did throw some balls that maybe he shouldn't have thrown last week, or got tipped around, intercepted, that kind of thing. So I think Tim Vikakis and the Jaguars will see some things on film that they see as an opportunity to really try to keep these Jags in the game, and see if they can pull the upset, because kind of like Vestavia Hills, you don't want to go 0-2 in the region, and you certainly don't want to go 0-2 in the region losing at home. So, there's only so many home games you get. There's only so many region games you get. And regardless of the opponent, you've got to take advantage when you can.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I definitely think Spain Park's defense will be ready for the challenge. The problem that the offense is going to have is moving the ball against that Thompson defense that has, they still look incredible. So we'll see how that one goes. Oak Mountain is paying a visit to Chelsea. This is going to be a game that both of these sides are really going to see this as an opportunity to notch a region win. This is a county rivalry game between these two schools. I think this could be a really stiff challenge, low scoring type of game. This is going to be a good one. And then also Hewitt Trustful is hosting Tuscaloosa County. So those are two important Region 3 games as well.
Yeah. I mean, this Oak Mountain Chelsea game last year, I can't remember. Was it near the end of the year and it ended up a pretty good game? I can't remember off the top of my head, but this go around, I mean, I'm looking at a guy like Emerson Russell at Chelsea who's had some big games. I mean, I think maybe he might be one of the least talked about playmakers in the state that you should be talking about, And like you said, this is both these teams 0-1 in the region. If you want a chance at sniffing the playoffs, you've got to get this win. So I think I like Chelsea in this game, being at home behind a big game from a guy like Emerson Russell. But that Oak Mountain team, man, I'm telling you, it's weird to be impressed by on an individual level by some guys after a 42-7 loss at home, but it seems to be there. There's a different talent level there. They don't have their learner's permits to drive yet, So they've just got to get older. They got to get bigger, and nothing can do that but time. So another stiff challenge for both these teams, and I think that'll be an underrated, fun game Friday.
Well, Gary, of all people, I would expect you to know that all the schedules this year are the same. They're just flipped. So this game this game last year was Chelsea's first win of the year. They went up big, 21-0 at the half, hung on to win 21-7. So I mean, this is going to be another game like that.
I don't know what game I'm thinking of. It might. I don't know. Hey, I should just be concerned with this year. Last year doesn't matter. I'm just a typical Bama fan living in the past here, I guess. So.
Yeah, y'all do that, don't you? All right, a few more games. Let's talk about Homewood going to Calera. I'm just going to let you know right now that this is going to be Homewood's first win of the year. Going to go ahead and call that. Man, this team needs a break. Like they faced two. They had the tough game against John Carroll. Then they played their rival Vestavia, and then Helena might be the best team in that region. They faced them right off the bat. So man, this Patriots team could really use a solid night.
Yeah, I mean, it's been trial by fire for a bunch of young guys right off the gate. But, I mean, I kind of had the same notes as you, Calera having the coaching change that they did so close to the season. Both these teams still searching for their first win. And for the reasons you said, I think it's the Patriots. I think they're bringing back a win Friday.
John Carroll heading to Hayden, like Gary mentioned earlier. The Cavs looking to go 4-0. It's kind of funny. I've kind of had, like, for at least the next few weeks, depending on how long this run for the Cavs goes, I can quit looking further and further back into history, because now everything is like for the first time since 1999, right? In 99, John Carroll started 6-0. I think they ended up 7-3, didn't make the playoffs. That was back in the day when, two like regions were like 4 teams and only 2 made the playoffs. But so the Cavs looking to go 4-0 for the first time since 1999. This Hayden team has really struggled at the start. So if the Cavs do what I saw them put out on the field last week, hey, they got a chance.
Yeah, I mean Hayden is. I mean they've only played I think 2 games, but they've only scored 20 points. So this Cavs defense I think really needs to lock in a bit more. It seems like they're still maybe susceptible to some big plays here and there. I think we saw that a little bit with Fairfield. Maybe you saw a little bit of that, but I think John Carroll does it. I think they're going to move to 4-0. I think they're going to keep that pedal down. The offense just seems too good, even on the road at Hayden, to lose this game. So I think the Cavs go in and get it done. I mentioned the mindset earlier. It just seems to be just different, more laser focused this year, and I think the Cavs are a team to really watch for. Maybe sneaking into the playoffs in 5A this year.
Yeah, and one other note on the Cavs, like it's just really refreshing to see the early season success that they're having, and this how much it means to everybody involved there. I had a couple of coaches make some comments to me during the game, after the game, just uh, just about how special things feel right now. So, and you'd love to see how emotional they all are after a win. There's just really cool things to see about that, where we kind of get lost in the dominance of certain programs or the inferiority of others, but just for a program to experience a small taste of success after toiling for so long has been really, really cool to see. But Gary, one final game, your beloved Battle of the Valleys, Clay Chalkville playing their first home game of the year against Pinson Valley. You got any thoughts on this one?
Clay Chalkville has a home stadium? No, I'm just kidding. I mean,
They
two home
do.
games all year, and it's against both the valleys. So they finally get a home game, and last week they go in and really take it to Pell City under Rush Probst, who I think Pell City's now 0-3. So I think they're still building and all that over there, but. Jalen Mbakwe had a huge night. Mario Craver, DJ Barber, all the guys at Clay Chalkville, they really put it together, and 46 points on the road. So I'd expect them to take care of business against Pinson Valley. I think Pinson was off last week, so we'll see what they've put in. Maybe something special for Clay Chalkville having the last week off. But I think this Clay team is just going to get better and better the more Jalen Mbakwe feels comfortable at quarterback, and that defense is just absolutely salty. So I think it's a Cougar win.
Yeah, I would tend to think so as well. The Cougars, I think they showed me a lot last week, just dominating an opponent like that. So we'll see if they can do that again in this rivalry game. Some
Mountain
local
Brook play
team.
this week?
Mountain Brook does play this week. They are at Woodlawn on Thursday night, which, Gary, I don't know if you know this, Woodlawn's got their own field now. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to go check. I'm going to go on Thursday since they're playing a day early. Check that out. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that goes as well. I would expect the Spartans to win, but to see a facility get built over there is pretty cool as well.
Yeah. Too much depth, Mountain Brook.
Oh yeah, but all right. So yeah, we're looking forward to week 4. I still think. Look, I don't necessarily. I'm not calling it again, but Class 7A Region 3, Gary, is not going to be straightforward this year. I'm just telling you guys that. It may not have happened the way that I thought the first game of Region play, but it is not going to go to chalk. I'm telling you that right now. But
Yeah. You
I don't know.
You know, a game you mentioned that I didn't really say anything about, but Tuscaloosa County at Hewitt. Like I know the running joke last year for a while was me jumping on the Tuscaloosa County bandwagon. I mean, should
You're
I do it
early on that
again?
one.
I mean, hey, 3-0, 1-0 start in the region, and good thing for Hewitt. This game's at home because I mean, that front seven is really going to have to do its job. I think that what's the kid's name at Tuscaloosa County? Kevin Riley. the running back. I think he's committed to Miami, and he appears to be the real deal. So that Hewitt defense is going to have to play a little bit like they did this last week against Oak Mountain, and really shut down that T County running game. And the offense, just so many playmakers. So I think Hewitt probably has enough of those playmakers to outscore the Wildcats, but that has the makings of potentially an interesting game.
No, I picked at you a lot for that last year, but no, this T County's looked pretty sharp the first 3 games of the year. So we'll see what they put on the field against Hewitt Trustful. All right, Gary. So one final thought. There's been a lot going on the last few days. I mean, apparently Alabama's dynasty's over. The Braves are going to the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers lasted all of 4 plays with the Jets. I mean, what else could be in store as we head into another week?
Oh gosh. Well, I don't know if you probably can't see my letterboard in this recording. If you can, then but if you can't, it says not here to talk about Bama. So we're not going to talk about Bama. The Aaron Rodgers thing, that was crazy. Like I think it came out today that it was officially an Achilles tear.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I strained my Achilles, and just doing that, I had the X-rays, all the things where they were checking to see, how it was, and they were like, it's stretched, it's hanging by a thread, and it hurts so bad just to have strained it. They put me in a boot for I think I was in a boot for a few weeks, and that was just for a strain. That Achilles deal, especially a tear, is absolutely no joke. So you wonder with him. I know he signed a three-year deal there. He's obviously going to miss this year, and then the rehab. Is this it? Does he come back? Braves. I'm just ready for October. I'm ready for heartbreak.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. So all that going on. Go catch a high school football game.
No, we got to mention one more thing. All those
What
things. How'd you think about Anthony Richardson at quarterback for your Colts?
I was trying to get out of here without talking about it. He had a solid first game. I mean, literally, the Colts have not won a season opener since 2013. So I kind of just don't watch the first game of the year anymore because it's not worth my time. No matter how good or bad they're going to be, they just are going to lose the first game of the year. So
yeah. They showed a lot of promise.
Yeah, they did all right. They literally don't have a running back that would start at any of the Region 3 high schools. So that's kind of disappointing. But
no, the one they do is on that PUP list. So you just got to get him back and hope he wants to stay in Indianapolis.
Yeah, so that's not happening. So it's going to be a long season for Indy. I don't know what we're tanking for because we already have a quarterback. So, but yeah. All right. That's Under the Lights, episode 22. Looking ahead to week 4 of the high school season. It's going to be a fun week. I think Gary's got the best game. At least I hope it turns out that way. But we'll be posting a lot of stuff throughout the week. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, do all the things. We appreciate you watching and listening to the podcast here. And we'll be posting stuff throughout the week. Follow us both on Twitter, especially Friday night. We'll have you updated from the games. I'm at Kyle Parmley. Gary is at Gary A. Lloyd. Gary, thanks for the time today. We will see you guys next time.